Well, it's entirely possible. I just deleted a bunch of stuff. As soon as I hit format card, I was like, oh, I don't remember the last time I dumped the card. So I guess future Alex will have fun figuring that out. Anyway, today we have this ME Super, Pentax ME Super. It has the pretty standard to this point infinite wind issue. So what I'm going to do first is, oh Jesus, go over very basic treatment for this. This is the initial thing that I do with all of these. The success rate on this is about 50-50. Depending on who you talk to. This is either the right way to do things or this is the worst way to do things. And if there was oh, that looks gunky down there. I don't know if you can catch a glimpse. Ooh, yeah, some little cultures living there. Anyway, depending on who you talk to, would probably see this and they'd be like, oh, suspend the repair license, whatever. There's no such thing, by the way, I checked. But what you also find is that those people will not tell you the right way to do things. They just will say, that's wrong. And yeah, I don't know. So, but this is the way that I learned. This is the way I was taught. And this is the way that I've done things for the most part. The success rate, as I said, is kind of a toss-up. Sometimes this will do the trick, other times this does not. More needs to be done, but the base understanding of this repair, or the problem and then the subsequent repair, is that the linkage mechanism between the advance lever and the mirror box of the camera, the advance of the body and the mirror box, gets a little bit broken over the years, gunked up, if you will. The grease that was initially used in the system gets kind of gummed up, and so it's a matter of kind of resetting that and making sure that it actuates properly. I've made this video before a few times, but it was earlier and I feel like my production values raised a little bit, so hopefully we can do a little bit better in terms of making this visible. Look at that. Oh my goodness, we can just see the whole world in there. So this is the bottom of the camera. There are 3 screws. You just remove those. They do go in order, so set them out in the order that you pull them out in, and then remove this. This will also probably come off, so I just remove that. Then also the port cover for the auto winder deal. Remove the batteries, otherwise they'll come flying out. And then what you're looking for, it's going to be really hard to see, to be honest, because it's in there. But you might be able to make out just a little corner of it, right? Nope. No dice. Let's see, maybe something like here. Just trying to, I don't know, it's hard to get the lens back. Oh, there it is. That little piece. Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push down on that with the screwdriver, and it's going to be really stiff to move. And then I like to use the back end of the screwdriver and just kind of pull it back up. And then, because it's so stiff to move, we're going to use a little bit of solvent on this front bit here. Just a few drops, and then a little bit more right there. And at that point, we're just going to work this through that a little bit, delicately, gingerly, lovingly, and that should free it up a little bit. But the very important thing to remember with solvents is that they dry quickly. So this is basically just kind of flushing all the gunk out of there. I'm gonna, I think this is actually the better screwdriver. And you don't want to push it down too far, because then you can unlatch them. And actually, while I'm talking about this, I totally just remembered I have another ME Super right here. This one's already been detached somewhat, so we can get a better look. So this is it. Pull it apart. So I gotta kind of hold it weird with my hand here. What we're looking for is that little hook right there. And watch as I push down how it launches back up at me. Sorry, this is gonna be a little weird. Okay, so as I push down, you see how that's moving? We'll show it from the side here. So that is what we're looking for. We want it to have that kind of movement. Now if it doesn't, we're taking the solvent to this front bit here and to this back piece here just to kind of free it up a little bit. So imagine it being put back together. It's going here and there. And then we're just going to kind of sit and actuate it a little bit, make sure it's moving freely. And then I take, and I'm just using a little screwdriver for that. Oh, but again, if you push it down too far, it becomes unlinked like that. I don't know if you can see. And all you need to do to reset that is just push down on this a little bit, and then that should link it back up again, if that makes sense. So if you push down on this too far, you see how it becomes unlinked, and then all I'm doing is I'm pushing down on this, and that links up there. So that seems to be the workaround there. And then I use a little bit, like just a drop of this to kind of make it last a little bit longer. Again, this is like, I'm gonna try and work on a more consistent fix for this issue, but for the time being, that's just how I was trained to do it. So this is the initial test for that. If this fails, or if it works for a little bit and then the problem comes back, then it's like a kind of a matter of taking apart the camera entirely, like I did that one, and working on it from there. And it could be a matter, like a very simple matter of it just being the spacer that's sitting there. I think it's like some kind of rubber. Oh, that breeze feels so good. Ooh. I think it's like a rubber spacer that will erode over time, and that will get chewed up, and those chunks will fall into the system, and also it could affect the movement because there's no spacer there. So anyway, there's a lot of like little components that kind of lead to this issue happening, but that's just kind of a very rough overview. So things we want to do is we want to make sure that this is advanced. This is the shutter system, so it's just pull on that and make it sure that it returns. There you go. Ah! I keep dropping my phone. It's just getting like more and more chewed up. It's bad. Okay. And then we're going to take this. So we're taking this and we're going to slide it in like so. Now the important thing to remember when you're doing this, let me get some light on it, is that you want it to sit like this. This is going to go there, so you have to loosen this up a tad. And I like to take a little set screwdriver, make sure that's positioned in place. Use my thumb to hold this here. I kick this up and over the advanced rewind button, and then I use this to fish this piece out, like so, because this needs to be on the other side of this. So it's kind of like it's a little maneuver. Sometimes it's easier to get than other times. Sometimes kicking this up and over is kind of an issue, but sometimes it works. It just depends. So maybe just move it to the side and then lift this up and over. Make sure that it's on, that the tab for this is sitting on this side. Move that down into place. I hope that's not too overblown. And then I like to loosen this up more. Don't loosen this up too much because then this whole dish will fly off, and then that's just a nightmare that we don't even want to talk about. Rotate that on, tighten her up. And then let's go over these screws. Because like I said, there's 3 specific screws. So you have this kind of short, squattier one here. And that's going to be sitting right there at the top, or towards the lens mount. And then you have this short flat one right there. And that's gonna sit right there. And then you have this longer thin one, and that's gonna sit right there, like so. And now, I'm going to advance. And because the shutter's already advanced, all that we're doing at that point is advancing and charging the mirror box. There you go. So, you're saying, wow, fantastic, it works. And yes, it does. But, as I mentioned before, this is one of those fixes where I always like to hold on to it for a few more days just to make sure. So what I do is I leave it charged, and then there. I'm gonna put it on lock just so I know not to fire that. Oh man, we're gonna need to take the rest of this apart because I've mentioned this before. It's a little crusty, rusty. I'm gonna pop the batteries back in. I'm going to put the contact cover back on. This is gonna need a hefty cleaning. Pop that in, and then kick this out so this falls into place like so. Move those away. Bump this on, tighten her up, and then that's pretty much it. I'll revisit this tomorrow probably and go over it again, and then we'll talk about repairing the rest of this camera, cleaning it mostly, and hopefully the repair lasts. But I just wanted to make this initial video to kind of talk about that. I might split these up into 2 separate videos, we will see. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That is the base understanding of what I do to kind of fix these. Again, I'm not going to say that this is the finalized thing, but this is just how I was taught. So we use that. I'm going to use that as kind of a baseline test, and moving forward, hopefully I'll figure out a better method. But for now, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment below. Check out the other videos if you feel so inclined to, or shoot me an email. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can, but I do hope this helps. Thank you again for watching. Appreciate you as always. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this kind of content. Yeah, catch you on the next one.